Hello, it's Ryan Burkhart, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Model A clutch and adjusting these fingers here. So essentially when you're adjusting the clutch, it's critical that we have all of these equal, and the recommended height below this surface is 5/8 to 3/4. Les Andrews says 5/8. So again, always do your research, but I'm using 5/8 for mine. So first what we did is you have to basically, with your flywheel all ready to go, you have to mount your clutch with your clutch disc in place. So I've got a new clutch disc here, pilot bearings in flywheel. So what I did is I used my tool, which is my shaft here, to line everything up, and then basically hand started each one of these bolts in the clutch. And once I got everything lined up and everything was aligned, I torqued everything down, tightened everything up, and then you can just remove the shaft. So this makes sure that your clutch disc, your clutch, and your flywheel, everything's in alignment, and that's really what you want to have in the vehicle to prevent any vibrations or any unnecessary slipping. So with that, now we'll talk a little bit about adjusting the fingers on the clutch disc. So the fingers on the clutch disc are adjusted by these nuts all the way around. So as you can see, I've already adjusted a couple of them. So you can see this one, how low this was compared to this one. So first what we want to do is we want to understand the measurement. So there's a lot of information out there. For me, I took my level, and then I took a square, and I basically adjusted my square so it was the 5/8 measurement below. And I used a set of calipers to verify my measurement, but once I've got that, then you can really see the difference here between how high they should be and how high they were. So with this, I'm doing a rough in right now, and then we're gonna make sure they're all the same at the end. So with that, we'll show you a little bit about how we went about adjusting these. So now to adjust these, I wanted to show you real close up, and hopefully you can see this. So in this is a special nut, and once it's tight, the edges were staked in the slot in the stud, and that prevents rotation. So I'm not sure, but I've heard that some of the new clutches don't have this, and they use Loctite. So once you make all your adjustments, you want to make sure either these are staked or you've got Loctite or both. So if we're going to do this, first what we need to do is we need to unstake it. So as you can see over here, this is one that I've done that's been unstaked and adjusted. So the first thing I did is I took a little tool, and let me find it here. And here's my tool. This is an old beat up jeweler's screwdriver that I had, and I'm using it as a hook. So what you want to do is you want to get down in between here, and you want to bend up and break off these tabs. And I'm going to do both of those, and then once we have those, we can take it to the next step. So let's see if I can get this going here. So you kind of get the gist of it. So I'm going to get that done with two hands here, and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Alright, now you can see that I've got these tabs bent off, and they're sitting there. So I'm going to get them out of the way in a second here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hacksaw, and I'm going to go across and clean those up. What you don't want is you don't want to torque that nut and try to tighten it or loosen it and then have it catch. So we're going to make sure that it's all cleaned up there. My hacksaw, and I'm going to clean this up. I'm not going to go too deep, just going to make sure that each one of the stakes is broken totally free so I can adjust the nut. Now I just got down deep enough so you can just see the witness mark on the outside of the nut here. So I was doing it by hand so we can make sure that we're not going too deep. Now I suggest getting your tool or your hook back in there, and you can see got another piece came off there. So this is going to make sure it's clean and there's nothing going to catch that nut as we adjust it. All right, now I'm pretty happy with that, and I used my pick. So it's patience. You want to be careful. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 1/2 inch wrench to go right over that, and I got a couple screwdrivers here. This one I'm going to use to start, and then I've got a bigger one. You want to make sure it fits in there. It's narrow enough so you can still twist the nut. And what we're going to do is you're going to see we're going to tighten the nut, which will actually push the back of this arm down, which will raise the fingers here. And this is the area where the throwout bearing actually rides on and helps to disengage the clutch. So we're going to show you how it works. Here we go. And I'm just going to hold that while I tighten the nut. So when I do that, I'm going to show you how it's changing the height. Hopefully you'll be able to see that as I tighten it. And you want to just feel it. You don't want to go too much because you want to make sure that's broken free. But as you go, that finger is going to slowly rise as we tighten it. Hopefully you can see that on that video there. You'll be able to see it as it gets closer to that other finger. And this is critical to have these adjusted so you're able to get your clutch pedal adjusted nice. When you get everything lined up, it's going to work just like new again. So now I got that up. Hopefully you saw that raised up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my straight edge across, and we're just going to see where we're at. So now I've got my square, and looks like I can come up just a little bit. You can see that's got some clearance there. So I'll go one more time and get that last little bit there. And then this one's going to be good for now. I'm going to go back and readjust all of them at the end. So let's check that one more time. So the key to this, like anything on your Model A, is patience. And I'm okay with that right now. That's really close. The key is patience. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to make sure that all of these are, Les Andrews says within 0.002, but I'm going to just make sure that my throwout bearing sits on there, it doesn't wobble any, and we're good to go. And that way we've got good solid engagement from the throwout bearing. Alright, so now I've got all of my fingers here all lined up, all at the same height. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my brand new throwout bearing, and I've already put it on the hub here. I'm going to actually put it in here, and there's a couple things that you can do. One, people say, take a feeler gauge and go through and see if you got 0.002 clearance. The other thing, just to start, is, do you have any, you can hear that? So we've got a little movement there. So if you just kind of go around, you've got a little movement. So we know we've got a little bit of adjustment. So now what we can do is we can go back, remeasure all those, make sure they're all equal, do any fine adjustments that we need, and then once we got that, this should be rock solid, totally flush with the surface. Then when you actually engage your clutch, you push this in, this is going to actually set nice against all those fingers. So I hope this was helpful. Again, always do your research. There's a lot of great resources out there, but hopefully this is helpful and you can do it yourself if you need to. And then make sure though, and I haven't done it yet, make sure you stake these before you get it back in the vehicle. So that what we'll do is we're going to take probably a punch or a chisel here, and we'll actually go in and then tap it lightly and stake those in. So we don't want to break them off, we just want to stake it. So enjoy your project and take care.